Hi, this is Kevin Deal from Upscale Audio, and today we're going to talk about tube microphony, what it really means to you, if you should be worried if the sky is falling, and we're also going to talk about, do really crazy expensive tubes, are they worth the money or can they suck? And in fact, I think we're going to go to that first. See this? This is an Amperex pinched waist 6922. Homer Simpson when he talked about donuts. Amperex. And Amperex made some very, very nice sounding 6922, 7308s. But this is the one that people talk about. Oh my God, it's got the pinched waist. And they are so good that Amperex could not stand making tubes that good, so they started making it without the pinched waist. Well, that's not true. Pinched waist 6922s, the 6922 only came out in the late 50s. And these tubes, the first ones I've ever seen, were made in, I think, 1958, as I recall. And they made them with the pinched waist between 1958, they made them in 59, and they stopped making them in the early part of 1960, and that's what this one is. This was made in the third week of 1960. So why did they stop? If it was the lore, the tube lore says that they made the pinched waist to reduce microphony. Well, it didn't work, because I got to tell you something. These are the most microphonic 6922s I've ever seen, except for the military Jan Sylvanias. Those are very microphonic too, but this one runs a close second, maybe even worse. And that's why they stopped making them that way. After, in 1960, they still kept the tall bottle, but they got rid of the pinched waist. And then in about a year later, I think, in 62, then they shortened up the bottle. You know, they were vying for contracts that were millions of dollars, I mean millions, hundreds of millions of dollars with the military making these tubes. So they weren't trying to make them worse, they were trying to make them better. And frame grid tubes were kind of a new deal back then. One more thing. This tube is a premium quality, I think. Oh my God, it's premium quality. See, it says right there. Does that mean it's premium quality? No. It means that it was sold commercially. That's how they were marked. They were marked PQ, or they were marked USN for the US Navy, or JAN, Joint Army Navy. That's how they were marked. So to say that this is PQ means that the military was getting a lower grade tube, and that's a ridiculous assumption. Anyway, but they are cool. It's fun to have some if you got them. I mean, like this one right here. See this? This is a 1962, early 1962 Siemens 6922. When I found these, I almost died. I said, oh my God, these are going to be unbelievable. And they were unbelievable. They were unbelievably bad. Within months, one triode or the other would just start to droop and drop out. I mean, it was such a disappointment, especially since I paid so much money for them. This was many, 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 many years ago. All right, enough of that. So what is microphony? Microphony means the tube is acting like a microphone. It means, here, I'm going to just show you. This is a cool little gig here. This is the K-Labs small signal tube checker. They don't make them anymore, but I knew I had a couple of these floating around, so I thought I would grab it and share it with you. George K is like a super cool guy and just one of the OG. There was a period of time here when Gizmo and George, all these old timers, man, just some cool, cool shit. Anyway, all right, this is going to warm up, and what you're going to hear is a or it can also come across as excitement when you flip switches. So if you buy a tube from someplace and it's a vintage tube, and you tap on the chassis of your preamp, does that mean it's a bad tube? And if it doesn't, what does it mean? It means don't tap on your preamp. That's what it means. If you buy current production tubes, they just really don't do that too much, except for 6H30s. Absolutely can. But most Russian tubes are very, very low in microphony. Vintage tubes, it's a crapshoot, but the thing is, I don't know if I would get my panties in a bunch about it. You flip a switch, you might hear a little bit of a ting. If the tube is really microphonic, that is microphony. That is the tube amplifying a signal picked up by a speaker then being re-amplified. That's what true microphony is. So if I've got that, should I use tube dampers? Well, first off, you don't want to use that tube, most likely. But let's talk about tube dampers for a moment. I've seen some tube dampers that were pretty damn effective. And I will say this, that I put them on a tube that's not very microphonic. And I found that it could, not always, but I had seen instances of them kind of killing some of that thing that we love about tubes. Life is not perfect. I am not perfect. Louis Armstrong's voice, or Neil Young, I mean, is that a perfect voice? Of course not. But do we love it? 100%. And so it is here. If a tube has just a little bit of that, it can give you some bloom. If you want to use tube dampers, use them. But don't assume that it makes things better. Get some neoprene ones or the, you know what I'm talking about. And just add one or maybe two or even three and see if you like it better. And if you do, great. And if not, take them off. But don't assume anything. Oh, man. What else do I need to talk about here? Tube dampers, da-da-da-da. I think that about covers. Oh, let's talk about what is important then. I'll tell you what's important, noise. And that's why we listen to every tube at Upscale Audio with headphones. I did it for years and years. Jared did it for years and years. Adam did it for years. And now I've got another gentleman who works here, and that's what he does. And we grade them appropriately to make sure that you get what you pay for. That's the whole thing. I'm going to be putting a lot more vintage stuff up. I had to take some of it down because I can't keep up back there. But I got a just bonkers amount of stuff that's going to come get uncovered. So look, buy stuff from us. I promise you the tubes are going to be what we say they are. Talk to my non-commissioned salespeople. They're not supposed to tell you which tube to buy because I tell them not to lie to people. Don't ever tell anybody something that's not true. So if they don't know what this is going to be like, they shouldn't even give you an opinion on it. I mean, that's kind of how we roll. We want to tell the truth. And that's why we say, at Upscale Audio, we're going to treat your system like it's ours. Thanks.